Hello and welcome to the 50-cent tour of Friday, September 20th, 2013. Congratulations on making it through the work week. Please find a seat on the Liberty Bus and we will begin our tour. The Case Against Obamacare, Healthcare Policy Series for the 112th Congress. This is from the Heritage Foundation, and it's just a broad spectrum article on what the issues are with Obamacare, what the problems are, and this is very in-depth, and I might not necessarily agree with all of it, but if you really want to understand Obamacare, if you want to have talking points to discuss it with people, this is a good place to find them. And the reason I bring this up is because according to Reuters, House Republicans ignore Obama veto threat on spending bill. And here's a quote from Reuters. Republicans in the House of Representatives on Thursday plowed ahead with a bill to gut President Barack Obama's health care law while temporarily funding other government programs, ignoring a warning from the White House that the measure would be vetoed. So to some extent this is posturing, and I'm not really rooting for the Republicans, that's not it, but if people in Congress are hearing that Americans are concerned about this, that there are problems with this, I'm hoping that we can take issues like this off of the political football field and stop pretending like our team has scored a point or a touchdown or whatever, safety. I do know some football terms, really I do. We would all be so much better off, but these people keep duking it out as if they're, scoring points, and it's all a game. So I actually want to kind of move into this idea of war in the Middle East. I found this shocking. I heard Alex Jones talk about it this morning. Lindsey Graham has a plan for war on Iran. So it's not just Syria here. It's, the whole Middle East is on the table. The globalists want to use it as any of these countries as a wick, a fuse to cause the explosion of World War III, because they're crazy and they have wishes for a lot of death and destruction. So Lindsey Graham, let me see if I can pull a quote out of here. A grassroots coalition arose to demand Congress veto any war on Syria. Congress got the message and was ready to vote no to war when President Obama seized upon Vladimir Putin's offer to work together to disarm Syria of chemical weapons. The war America did not want did not come. And just thank you, Jesus. That was not part of the quote. I'll go back to the quote. The war America did not want did not come. Lindsey Graham is determined that this does not happen again. The next war he and his collaborators are planning, the big one, the war on Iran, will not be blocked the same way. How does Graham propose to do this? And this article goes on to describe how Lindsey Graham does want to give Obama a blank check for war on Iran before people are very aware of what's going on. So what does that mean? That means to me that we need to remain very, very, very vigilant and keep an eye on these guys. And if this resolution were to pass, there it is. I mean, that is approval from Congress. So these things need to be stopped really before they're started. And our awareness needs to be raised higher and ever higher. And the way for that to happen is for us to talk about these things. And here I have from Henry Makow, and I used Start Page because I started there. I was searching for articles, and so I left this one highlighted just so I could find, I wanted to make the point that these wars are a blood sacrifice. They're crafted to increase power in the earthly realm, the material realm that we see and that we're all aware of. But ultimately, the desire of these people is to increase their power in other dimensions or realms, however you want to put it. In spiritual realms, they want to become more power. They're serving their dark master, and their dark master values blood sacrifice. So one aspect of war is that blood is shed, and that blood becomes a sacrifice to evil entities. And I didn't find anything that he specific website. I did a real quick search. Didn't find anything that really backed that up. But if you read books like 13 Bloodlines of the Illuminati, and you just gain a broader understanding of some of these issues, you're probably already aware of that. This one comment on this website, this is why the search turned this up, it wrote about Libya and the fact that another reason for the war on Iraq may have been the fact that in Baghdad alone lived 300,000 Christians without any problems. The so-called West is more satanic than any Muslim country, aka Arabic nation, could ever be, and goal number one of the West is to exterminate Christianity, the only stumbling block to the New World Order. And this commenter goes on to write that fake Muslim fundamentalists can be useful to pose as future enemies, giving further opportunity for war, more murder, more death, more blood sacrifice, more profits, and so on. So it becomes clear in studying these issues, looking very closely at these issues, that there's a bloodlust here, and there are not rational reasons for war in the Middle East. Reasons are crafted. Sometimes people make a decision what they want to do, and then they find reasons to justify their actions, and certainly that is how the elite function on an international level. And here I want to just show a little bit of the double-mindedness and the tug of war that's going on, and how this causes really strange behavior, and how it's very difficult to process what's going on with any kind of logic, because things change so quickly. People say conflicting things. This morning I heard that Obama had said that there wouldn't be any more quantitative easing, and then the Fed announcement was made that there's going to be quantitative easing. So there are just so many confusing things that are going on, and this is an example. This was from September 2nd. Obama will ignore Congress and attack Syria anyway. So, this was the whole idea of the red line. Obama was going to go ahead, and the U.S. was going to attack Syria. And then when there was a public outcry, here this is from September 5th, there's a public outcry and 91% of people were opposed to the war. Well, all of a sudden, Obama backs down, and Barack Obama, I didn't set a red line in Syria. So there's this interesting confusing behavior among the members of the government. And just as an example, I thought of this scene from A League of Their Own. You know, we're trying to follow the news. We're trying to figure out what's going on. I guess I wanted to say, ultimately, at this time, I don't think that we can, based solely on input. I think that we need to listen to our inner voice, and we need to pray and submit things to God, and I believe that He will help us gain understanding. But if you watch this, it takes 2 minutes, 20 seconds. At least it'll make it humorous and easier to process. And here's kind of the, this is what happens. This is from the book of James, chapter 3, and this is verse 16. Wherever there is jealousy, envy, and contention, rivalry, and selfish ambition, there will also be confusion, unrest, disharmony, rebellion, and all sorts of evil and vile practices. And that's really where we are. That's where our government is at this time. There's this strife, this wrestling for control, and it's hugely motivated by greed. It's only going to lead to confusion, unrest, disharmony, rebellion, and all sorts of evil and vile practices. Where do we go? I think that, as I said, about trying to figure out what's really going on, I believe we just need to, we need to keep talking and seeking and reading and using our minds. But we also need to take these things to God, Creator, higher power, however you meditate, and process not just through our mind, but through, I don't know, our hearts, our pineal gland, I don't know. But I think it's really important not to jump to conclusions, and especially not to become fearful based on things that we hear. Because what we hear this hour, next hour, it might change. The whole issue of war in Syria, it was amping up, and, the news was kind of saying, be afraid, be very afraid. And everybody was talking about nuclear war and the most dangerous thing since the Cuban Missile Crisis. And the same, if you remember, the same kind of thing happened, got all amped up about North Korea a few months ago. We have these cycles of, having our emotions played with. And I think that when there's action that can be taken, we need to take action. For instance, so many people contacting their Congress people and telling them that we don't want war in Syria. There's action that we can take, but often these things just, they're not real. They're not true. Potential for something to happen is not the same as the thing happening. And if we have an attitude of faith, hope, and love, and we're releasing those, if I may use the word, vibes, then I think that we can anticipate better things in the future. So I hope I communicated that. Now for our good news of the day. Vitamin C helps eliminate chronic disease. Ta-da! Isn't that wonderful? I did also want to mention that when I was on Natural News looking for some good news, I found this article, which I think is really significant. TED aligns with Monsanto, halting any talks about GMOs, food as medicine, or natural healing. A week or so ago, I had an article about how TED was censoring anything about consciousness, that they didn't want people to talk about that under the TED label. And now here's this issue with GMOs. So I always had kind of a bad feeling about TED, and I guess I'm finding out why now. Anybody that comes out with a lot of money behind them, a lot of resources, I think it's really important to question where are they getting that money, where are they getting those resources. And a lot of alternative media has obviously been built from scratch and grown very slowly over the years if they're big, like for instance InfoWars. The people that hit the scene big with a splashy website and a lot of money, I always kind of hold back a little bit. Now, I'm sure that the powers that be, the cabal, know how to structure a website that looks like it's grassroots too. So, I think that we just need to process everything all the time, not take anything for granted, not really use anything as a foundation for our beliefs and our lifestyle until it's proven. So with that, I will wish you a pleasant weekend. The Daily Tour is a presentation of She Who Will Walk in the Dark Productions, and we thank you for being with us for today's tour. The dawn is coming. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.